This is Brian Hamill from the Ask Great Proclamation, and today it is a great honor to introduce and welcome Doug Gillard from Guided by Voices. Hey, Doug.
Hey, Brian. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for taking the time. First and foremost, how I know that you're in the New York City area. How did you guys make out with the weather last night?
We're in a part of Queens that our particular neighborhood is it's elevated a little bit. It's sort of up on a hill, so we didn't do too bad.
Good.
And actually, down the street, that's a little downslope from us, is also fine. I expected to see a lot of puddles today, but I didn't. So
good to hear.
I mean, we're okay here. I know some people had tornado warnings, and some areas got hit pretty bad. So
yeah, we got a little bit, nothing like the New York area. I'm just here in Massachusetts, so not too far away. But yeah, glad to hear you guys fared well there.
Didn't do too bad.
Yeah. So big weekend last weekend. You guys returned to the stage in Columbus. First time playing to an audience since that infamous show in LA where you played 100 songs. What was it like being back on stage with the band?
It was pretty great. It almost felt like there was no break, and we were all ready for it, and it all felt really good.
A lot of energy coming from you guys is what I heard, and I think I saw a few videos as well that looked great. And of course, one of the reasons I wanted to connect with you today is very excited for your return to Boston in a little over a week. So I'm sure you guys will be ready to go then as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So back in 2020, you guys really kind of evolved back into the studio band, that Bob started, in the basement and we're churning out records, but it seems like, every other month. I know that the recording process didn't change all that much because that's kind of the way you have done things for a while. But did the restrictions or the inability to travel or jump in the same room with the guys, did that pose any new challenges for recording or the creative process for you?
Not really too much. By the way, we reverted as well back to 4-track. We all got 4 tracks. So
oh, wow.
It was mailing cassettes throughout 2020. No, I'm kidding. Since you said that, I thought that would be something to say. But
yeah,
that's kind of a cool notion. Maybe that's right. That wouldn't be too bad.
Did you get a task cam?
Yeah, well, I still have one.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I definitely still have one, but they're great. But that would be fun to do. A lot of rewind time involved in that. But then again, we do a lot of stuff on 2-inch tape sometimes with Travis, so he has to rewind that too. But regarding the question that you asked, there was really only one album where Kevin, Mark, and I didn't get together to do any live basic tracks for. That was Earthman Blues. And so we all sent in tracks for that to Travis. And that's an amazing record with lots of different sounds in it, lots of different directions. But usually there's a handful of songs at least that we'll get together and track together live in the studio to get them onto 2-inch tape first, to get the drums and guitars, sort of the basic sounds sort of on the tape. And then, he can transfer those and we can overdub on top of those on his Pro Tools, or whatever. Sometimes I send in a lot of tracks from home, my own little setup. So do all of us, we all kind of send in things that we've recorded at home, but no real challenges though. We communicate a lot about the songs with each other, and Travis does an amazing job of engineering and mixing, even some song curation to a point. And we have Bob's notes and wishes for each song, directions sort of. So
yep, he definitely has a vision before it gets to you, right? In terms of what he's thinking.
Yeah, some have more points on them than others. Some he just sort of indicates a basic feel and lets us go, and he trusts what we're going to do. And others he has very detailed instructions with time stamping on it, at least as pertains to his demo. So that's kind of the process we've been operating on the last few years, and we know what's up when we receive all that stuff. So
yeah, you guys definitely had a benefit over other bands because you had been doing it that way for so long. I'm glad you brought up Earthman Blues. I wrote a review of the record when it came out in the spring, and I don't think I've really gone a day or two without listening to it. It is pretty varied. And what couple of things that I wanted to ask you about in terms of like Dirty Kid School, like those the guitar line in there, was that something that you had, you know, heard in maybe in your head when the song was delivered to you, or is that something that Bob was kind of looking for? It's one of those songs on first couple listens that grabbed me. So was curious.
Oh,
kind of
what's the guitar
when,
line you're speaking of?
the opening guitar.
You mean just the sort of chugging?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, it almost reminded me of like almost like an old AC/DC, or you know what I mean. I don't know. That's what I heard. Not necessarily probably where you were coming from, but that's kind of what I heard in the early, you know, 70s type of hard rock is what I kind of picked up from.
Oh, if it's just sort of the one pedaling on the E, that's Bob's idea. I mean, that's the way he played the acoustic on his demo. Maybe there's a riff I'm forgetting about.
And then there's other material from the records that you guys made during the pandemic. And there's some different textures that it just, you know, they're striking to me. And, you know, it's a good segue in terms of how you approach writing, but whether it be for strings or synth or guitar, is there a real difference on how you approach those? Or would you mind talking about, you know, maybe each one of those or a couple of those and how you kind of go in at them?
You're talking about the new material?
Yeah, the newer material in terms of if you're adding strings to it, or if you're just working on the guitars, is the approach fairly similar, or do you have to kind of adjust from, you know, instrumentation to instrumentation?
Oh, well, if you're talking about the strings, I'll get ideas in my head, or maybe a key melody, or at least some kind of starting point. And I'll jot the idea down, or I'll sing it or play it on guitar or something so I can remember it. And then I'll use a MIDI controller keyboard. I have some orchestration software, and I'll kind of layer the different sounds together. It uses a lot of tracks. It takes a lot of time to do, but I like doing it. And I mean, it's much different than the guitar arrangements. Same with the synth, although sometimes with the synth, I'll use an analog synth that I have here, or we have access to a couple at Travis's studio as well. Or sometimes it's through my DAW here at home.
Okay.
Synthetic synth, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm still back on the Dirty Kid School thing you're talking about. Trying to figure out the guitar you're talking about. I think you're just talking about the chugging.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's Bob's feel that he had on his demo when he played. So with an electric, and I'm reminded that song starts with this really cool sort of Beach Boys esque a cappella vocal harmony thing that Bob did.
Yeah, no, I just, sometimes when I hear it, it's like, you know, that's you and Bobby, you know, coming up with that stuff. But sometimes you forget that Bob delivers songs with the guitar intact, or at least a basic track for you to work with. So.
Right. Yeah. No, that's me that's me and doing the rhythm, sort of emulating his rhythm on his demo, which is usually that's what you'll hear on the records, that sort of thing.
Great. In terms of, you know, some of the records we've been talking about, whether it be Mirrored Aztec or Earthman Blues, that material is being played live, or is that something that you guys will continue to kind of work on in terms of adding and subtracting songs?
We've added a lot.
I saw the set list. Yeah, I just didn't know if you'd be adding more, or if it's kind of intact, and that, you know, obviously Bob.
We will probably add some more come October, say mid-October, but right now we have some from all of those, including It's Not Them, which isn't out yet, but I think we're all really excited to play the new stuff. Right now it's my favorite stuff in the set. They're really great songs, and it's fun. Bob loves singing them, and
that's great. Yeah, it's a good segue because
since we haven't played out in so long, we have to include stuff from 4 or 5 previous albums that we didn't get to play out on or promote on tour. So
that must have been challenging for you guys to be, you know, hunkered down and releasing records, but not hitting the road.
Only challenging when you have to sort of relearn them because you're going to play them live.
Sure.
But you know, it's just a lot to make sure that you know at one time. But it's rewarding. It's good. They sound good.
Definitely looking forward to it. You mentioned the new record or the forthcoming record. It's not them. It couldn't be them. It is them. Love the title. Love the title. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? The first 2 tracks that I've heard are fantastic. I'm really looking forward to hearing some more live. And obviously, when the record comes out, can you talk a little bit about how the songs came together and the maybe a little bit of detail around the record?
Yeah. You've probably heard my Limited Engagement and High in the Rain.
Yes.
There's one called Dance of the Gurus that is, I think, coming out in advance of the record as well. That's already in the set. That's one of my favorite ones live, All of Us. There's another one, People in Holes and Chain Gang Island, that we're also doing now. I'd say the difference between that and something like Earthman Blues might be that it's a little more straight ahead rock, and it's a little more sprawling, if that makes any sense.
It does. It's a great description.
It's just sort of more, I don't know if majestic makes any sense either with regard to these songs, but yeah, I guess maybe that's it.
Yeah.
We've also employed more real players playing the string and horn parts too. There's some of that on there, some actual horns and strings.
Why the change this time?
Just to kind of make it more real.
Makes sense.
I composed the parts and arranged it and everything. We found folks who can play them, at least some of them, So,
yep.
And that was fun.
Were Kevin and Mark and yourself able to get together for the recording of the forthcoming new record, or was that still done between the three of you at your respective studios?
For It's Not Them,
yes.
I think there was a little live performance in there for some tracks, and also sometimes we'll individually come to Travis's if we can, or one of us will individually. Well, I don't know what I'm saying, but Kevin also works with an engineer who has a studio in New Jersey, Ray Ketchum, as well, who records drums excellently, and he'll send those in. There's a record that we recorded to be the next one out after It's Not Them. So for that one, several of us went out to New Jersey and kind of were there when Kevin recorded the drum parts for that, and it's sort of even bigger sounding than It's Not Them is going to be. So we're excited about all the things we have coming out.
Is there a working title for that one? Or is that top secret at this point?
I'm not sure. There is a title, but I'm not sure if that's been released yet. So I guess I'll just not just have peace of mind. That's it. It's a great title.
Yeah. Any idea of schedule in terms of when that one might become? Is that something that we'll see before the end of the year, you think, or is it more of
that'll probably be spring? It'll probably be spring. I'm not exactly sure yet. So
yeah, it's been, as usual, a busy time, and the Guided by Voices fans, which of course I am one, are incredibly spoiled. So we appreciate the work ethic for sure. And speaking of a recent release, Clang Clang Ho, the debut from Cub Scout Bowling Pins, came out over the summer, and wanted to chat a little bit about that. It's GBV, but it's definitely not GBV. What do you find to be the biggest difference between the two bands, or what stands out, within the Cub Scout Bowling Pins palette in terms of sonic and textures and things like that to you?
Well, it is a different process. That one starts with Cub Scout Bowling Pins. It usually starts with Bob's vocals, which are already complete contained pieces that he's recorded on his cassette boombox, just a cappella. So each of us then sort of chooses a few of those songs to write the music to. We kind of divvy them up, write the basic chord structure to, and then after that's done, everyone else will kind of add their parts to all of those as needed. And the last two Cub Scout Bowling Pins, there was the EP called Heaven Beats Iowa as well that came out before that.
Yes, yeah.
It's a little more 60s tinged. I mean, slightly. It's not. There's no hard and fast rules on that, but so that was a lot of fun to sort of play around in those sort of genres, and just sort of have fun with the songs. Travis is part of those. Travis is part of writing as well and composing, and he plays guitar on some of them as well as some drums, and so it's the five of us with Bob's vocals.
That's a first on a recording in terms of, current projects, right? I know Travis has worked with the band for a while, but is that
not if you consider the Cash Rivers albums.
Yes. Okay.
That was much the same process with Travis contributing songs and playing whatever as well on those. So
the tracks that Bob delivers for that project are straight a cappella, right? It's just vocal. Is that correct?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
Okay. Are there plans for more from the bowling pins?
I think so. I believe so. I believe he has something else. I don't think it's finished yet, but he mentioned he might give us another one eventually.
Yep.
And it'll probably branch off into different genres than we've been mining.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there? I know it's a separate project, but is there any plans to bring any of the tracks that were recorded between the EP and the full length to the live set at any point?
Right now, no, because there's so many new Guided by Voices songs that we're doing.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And the Cub Scout Bowling Pin songs tend to not be quite as serious as the Guided by Voices songs. I mean, serious sort of in tone and lyrical content and everything, but you never know. Maybe next year there'll be a Cub Scout song in the set.
Yeah, we'll hope, and hopefully we'll hear more from that project before too long. Speaking of side projects, and it was a one-off, but I have to ask because it's one of my absolute favorite things. Along with the Guided by Voices records of this run, and since you kind of come back to the band, is ESP Ohio. Is there any possibility of revisiting that work or that project?
You mean as far as live songs being in the set?
I was speaking more of, is there any possibility of another record along that vein for that project?
Yeah, I'd really love to do another ESP Ohio project if it ever comes up. Right now, there's been no talk of it, but
okay.
Travis, Mark, and I would definitely love to take on that challenge if Bob ever wants to do one again. That'd be awesome. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about gear with you, just and not to get too deep into. Some people, don't really get into it, but I definitely do, and was curious, what the setup is. What the setup is currently. I know the tried and true Les Paul is still with you, but I've seen you, add a Telly and I think an SG in recent years. But what's the setup, and are there any new additions to what you're using in the studio or on stage?
Right now, it's sort of whatever's practical to use. Yeah, guitar wise, right now it's the Les Paul, and I think the SG is probably going to be my backup. It could either be the Telly, or I have an ES330 that I used in the virtual show last year, which is really great. But just for traveling and I guess the durability's sake, breakability, use the Gibsons right now. And pedalboard wise, there's really nothing new at all. I just kind of have what I need, and my focus was to get back in basic playing shape and just really know all the new material and old material that we're putting back in. And any effects would be an afterthought. So I've sort of learned the dance I need to the pedalboard dance I need to learn for the set we're doing right now. There's some effects, not too many, just kind of the usual delayed reverb. I mean, as far as I have different gain stages and distortion things and all that good stuff, but I really don't have any new pieces of gear I put into the train, as they say.
Yeah, the Les Paul seems to be the workhorse. That's been with you the longest, and I love seeing you play that guitar. And it's heavy though, right? Is it?
It is.
Like, it's pop your shoulder out or anything? No.
But yeah, it's the mid '70s. It's a 1976 Les Paul, so
it's real heavy.
Yeah, I think in those years they made them from cement. Was the wood that they used? It's called cement.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, I don't really have the dough to go and explore all the chambered sort of new things that I could get. if it's going to be a Les Paul, but I'm definitely open to having something else that's lighter. And I probably will do that in coming months or maybe next year.
Cool. Apart from Guided by Voices, which is obviously keeping you very busy, as well as Cub Scout bowling pins, has there been time for you to revisit or focus on solo material?
Yeah, I've been sort of writing things here and there. Last year, there were a couple compilations that Rough Trade Publishing released that they benefited different things like Black Lives Matter and voting rights issues. And there were a lot of artists on their roster, and I was one of them. So I contributed a couple new solo songs to those. They were, I think they were Spotify playlists, but they were available for purchase. So
yeah, I remember those. I picked those up. Those, they were, I think they were released free Bandcamp Friday where they waived the fees.
Sorry, they weren't Spotify. They were Bandcamp. That's what I meant to say. Yep. Things here and there. Last year, the year before, I produced an album by the Bye Bye Blackbirds, which is a band from sort of a power pop band from the Bay Area.
Okay.
And I did a string part for one they're currently working on. There's at some point there will be there's a tribute album to Scott Miller of Game Theory coming out. I think it's going to be a double record, but I did a song a few years ago called Dripping with Looks. It was a Game Theory song. When the project was initially going to get off the ground, which was a few years ago now. And it was shelved, but it's been resurrected. So that's going to be on it. Different collaborations here and there, probably. Sure.
Yeah. Eternal Summers. Are you still involved with working with them? I know that you'd worked with them in the past, and
I have.
I'm definitely a fan of that band and love what you brought to some of those albums. So.
Oh, thanks. Well, I really only produced one of their albums, but I also contributed to Nicole Yoon's solo record a couple years ago that she did, and they're back together, sort of writing new things again. So, I mean, back meaning back after the pandemic.
Sure.
So, I'm not involved with what they're doing now, but we keep in touch and very supportive of each other. So,
do you find time to listen to a lot of other music other than what you're working on? And if so, is there anything that you're enjoying as of late?
Always enjoying different things.
Cool. Anything
so,
you feel like mentioning?
Yeah, I mean, I revisit a lot of old stuff, of course. There's always things from the 60s that are great. The new Beach Boys Feel Flow set is really great.
In terms of the 11th, we are, as I mentioned, we're talking today for one of the reasons, other than being a longtime fan of your music, as well as Guided by Voices, obviously. Anything you might, tell us what can we expect? I know it's going to be a little different. We'll be showing proof of vaccination as well as wearing masks. But it's a small price to pay to see you guys live. It's been a minute. The stream was awesome, but this is a long time coming, and very much looking forward to it. So just curious if you had anything to add in terms of what we might be able to expect. I know the set list is will be similar to what people saw in Columbus, but just wanted to see if you had any additional thoughts on the Boston show.
Yeah, we aren't doing anything really new with this, with the presentation, other than just coming out and putting on a great show. Every venue is different, so there might be a barrier in front of the stage because of just distancing.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't think of anything that's really going to be too different. We're definitely not behind plexiglass or anything. Everyone will see a band putting on a good show, and Bob is enjoying moving around and doing a kick or two, dancing around.
Yeah, the kicks are back. The new hip.
Definitely.
The new hip seems to be working out well. I think he mentioned titanium, right? So powered by titanium now.
That's true. Guided by titanium, maybe. Oh, one new thing I checked out recently was there was a band called Salt, SAULT.
Okay.
They're pretty cool. There's lots of things I'm always sort of checking out, that are great. So, there's a lot of things out there.
Yeah, I'll definitely.
There's always great new things too.
Yeah, I'm always interested to hear what you guys are listening to. So I'll definitely look those two bands that you mentioned up, Bye Bye Blackbirds and Salt there.
Oh yeah.
I know
There's
the Bye
also
Bye Blackbirds one isn't so new, but I think when we talked in 2018, you had maybe just finished working on that. So definitely revisit that one for sure.
Oh right, that's right. I forgot that we talked about that even then.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So it's been a pleasure, Doug, and I definitely appreciate the time this afternoon. Glad everybody at home is fared well through the Hurricane Ida, and very much, as I mentioned, I'll mention it again, looking forward to Guided by Voices return to Boston, and the first time at Royale here in the city of Boston. So we will definitely be looking forward to catching up in a week or so. But have a great day, and thanks again for your time.
Same to you, Brian. Thanks a lot for the questions. Really nice. Good to catch up.
Anytime. Thanks, Doug. Take care.
Okay, thank you.